How you doing? Sam Tolley. We're gonna take a little ride and have a discussion. Well, I'll talk. Hopefully you'll listen. But I would like to talk to my Democrat friends, and I got a serious question. And I know it might sound like it's being facetious, but I'm not. I'm serious. Here. What do we got here? August the 31st, 2025. I want to go get me some rub for my ribs. I'm going to put some ribs in. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to marinate some chicken this evening. I like to inject my marinade inside the chicken as well as outside. And then I'm going to smoke my ribs and my chicken. So I got to prepare. I thawed out my meat yesterday, and now I want to get it ready. So when I get it on the grill, it can do its thing. But that's not what I want to talk to you about, because I don't think that we got an issue with cooking. I don't think that we have an issue with eating good food. I think one thing that all Americans have in common and that we haven't divided over is food. We like to eat. Unfortunately, some of us got situations in their bodies where they can't eat the way they used to, whether it's health or teeth or whatever. But the majority of us can and do like to eat and eat regular and eat good stuff. But what I wanted to talk to you about is my Democrat friends, and especially my black Democrat friends, my question is, why are you a Democrat? I mean, in the year 2025, why? And please think about the question without undue emotionalism. I mean, I'm being serious. At the same time, I know that could be offensive to some people. I get people that tell me all the time, Trump this, Trump is that, this, that, and the other, bling, bing, bang. He's the devil. He's all this stuff. That does not answer the question. Why are you a Democrat? When I was growing up, it was pretty much ingrained in many black Americans that we are supposed to be Democrats. And many middle class white people believed also, I believe, that the Democrat Party was the party of the little man, the party of the middle class, the party of the poor, the party of the little fellow. They always projected themselves as being the party of the working man, the poor man, the minority. That's what they projected themselves up in my younger years. Now, whether they lived up to that projection, that's another story. And I don't think they have. But recent years, I don't hear that kind of talk anymore. I hear them talking all kinds of strange stuff. We're standing up for the transgender. We're standing up for the people that identify as they, them, and he, she, or she, him, or it, whatever. I can't keep up with that stuff, and I'm not going to try to, because it is my firm belief that anybody that's into transgenderism is either mentally ill, demon-possessed, or both. And the people that support that stuff are not supporting traditional human beings, male and female. But this thing that they have gotten deep into the last few years is in addition to the other stuff. They've been supporting killing babies in the womb forever. And, I see all these Democrats that claim that they're Christians that obviously do not read the Bible. And if they read the Bible, they don't believe the Bible. And if they believe the Bible, they don't obey it. Supporting killing babies in the womb. Now, many of them do some kind of psychological gymnastics in their brain where they say, no, I don't believe in killing babies in the womb, but they always vote for people to make sure that happens. So anyway, that is a couple of things that these people stand for that just doesn't line up with my thought process. Let's talk about the poor and the little men. They always talk about they stand up for the little guy and for the poor. You know, they want to have a living wage. Let me talk about this living wage for a second. You know, when I was growing up, the minimum wage, I didn't even know the history of the minimum wage, but I will get into that at another time because there was an act about the minimum wage that is really significant, and it really impacted the money for black people. But the idea of a minimum wage when I was young was a starting job, something to get your foot into working, like kids working as working in restaurants as dishwashers, working in stores as not a clerk, but they used to actually have people that would stand next to the clerk ringing up your groceries, and they would bag the stuff. They would put it in bags, and they would even push the carts out to the cars. I know many of you never seen that. Just like many of you never went to a gas station where all you did was pulled up to the pump and somebody came out there and asked, can they help you? They pumped your gas. They cleaned your windshields. They checked your oil or whatever. Those things used to happen. Just like you used to go to the show. You would walk into a movie theater. You would pay the money. They would give you a ticket. You'd walk to the door. Somebody would take your ticket. Somebody else, after you went and got your candy or whatever, somebody else would escort you down an aisle. Those things used to happen. Those were minimum wage jobs. Those are jobs that just get people started. Then they went into this living wage nonsense. And so what happened? I think recently in California they made a law where what? The fast food workers got $15 an hour, or was it $20? I don't remember. Which jacked up the prices for anyone that wanted fast food. Matter of fact, it made it more palatable to go to a restaurant than to a McDonald's. And what it also did was it made it more difficult for young people, teenagers, to get a job. If I got to pay somebody $15 to $20 an hour to start, why would I pay a teenager if there's a grown man that's willing to do the job? And I'm thinking that this grown man is more mature and going to be more reliable than this kid. But the Democrats claim that they're for the poor, but they advocate stuff that makes it difficult. And then worse than that, even if you think that made sense, these people are for open borders. You guys know the lie. When they let millions of people in during Biden's administration, millions upon millions, and then claim that they could not control the border without a new bill paying a whole lot more money. And Trump, when he got in, he shut the border down first thing without an extra dime. So that was a lie. That's an obvious lie, and anyone that's not paying attention to that lie is just being dishonest to themselves. But having said that, they brought these millions of people in and they put them up in hotels and gave them money and gave them EBT. I did a video once where people had like $4,000 on an EBT card. An illegal alien. Put them up in luxury hotels and stuff. Giving them first dabs on jobs while Americans were sleeping in the streets. But the Democrat Party used to claim they're for a little guy. That makes no sense. This past weekend, they had Al Sharpton and MLK Jr. and a whole bunch of folks marching down the street. in LA. Not LA, I'm sorry. I think that was New York. Marching. Just like they did in the 60s. I would assume somewhere along the line they might have sung, "We Shall Overcome." Now, let me ask you a question. Is that all black folks are good for? Is the march and the beg and to talk about how we should overcome but never overcome? This is my problem with the Democrat Party. They've been marching for years. And black folks was at the bottom of the socio-economic ladder when they started messing with the Democrats, and they're still at the bottom. And not a thing is going to change with Jesse Jackson and MLK Jr. I'm sorry, not Jesse Jackson. Al Sharpton, the so-called reverend. He ain't no reverend. He don't believe in the God of the Bible. If he did, he'd be against abortion. And for those of you that don't know, I don't know what MLK the third believed, but his daddy didn't believe in the Bible either. He didn't believe in the resurrection. He didn't believe in the deity of Christ. He didn't believe in the virgin birth. That means he was not a Christian. But he got the Margaret Sanger Award, the woman who said that black folks were human weeds, the woman that wanted to hire black preachers to keep black folks in line and start eliminating the population. We got like 20 million black folks that's been aborted since 1973. And Lord knows how many since that Peel came out that folks are aborting in their bathrooms. But these people stand for that while they claim they're for the poor. And if they're for the poor, why would you bring in more poor? Why, if you are wanting to lift black folks up out of poverty and crime, why would you bring in millions of illegals, thousands of them that's been involved in crime, 11,000 of them that were murderers, a bunch of rapists and stuff? Why would you do that? These Democrats, just like when Trump recently, and as right now, has the National Guard, FBI, and U.S. Marshals patrolling around Washington, D.C., trying to keep the crime rate down. And it's been hugely successful. And the folks that are traumatized by the most crime are the black folks. But yet these Democrats complain about that. They're upset. They say he want to be a dictator, he want to be a tyrant. These folks don't live in the crime-ridden neighborhoods. So why would you want to be a Democrat? Why are you a Democrat? This is what I'm trying to figure out. What is the benefit? If you were an illegal alien, yeah, I could see it. Well, if they were in power. You know, now that they're not in power, it ain't going so good for them. But when they were in power, the illegal aliens got everything. Black Democrats got nothing. They got Joe saying that if you don't know the difference between me and Trump, you ain't black. They got Al Sharpton and every other black gatekeeper screaming about Trump as a dictator, and he gonna send you to Africa or some other country like he's sending these illegal aliens. Why are you guys defending folks that don't belong here, that take up resources that you and your children need? You know, this is another thing I don't understand about Democrats. I don't get it. You guys are always talking about, you know, getting ahead, you know, trying to get out of poverty, trying to make a better living for yourself and your family. But at the same time, you support policies that do the complete opposite. For years, we've been talking about vouchers, school vouchers, so kids can go to a school of their choice, of their parents' choice, a school that's going to help them. But you Democrats are against it. You know, when you guys voted for, I'll wait for these people to get out the way, Barack Obama as president, you know what the first thing he did? He signed an executive order that canceled charter schools that was being paid for by the government for predominantly black kids that were getting ahead, and was relegating them back to lousy public schools. Now you tell me, the charter school that these kids were going to had like a 93% graduation rate that they went on to college. Hell, right now in Baltimore, I read where there's, I think it was 8th graders that aren't efficient in math at any grade level. Democrat-run schools. Now, fortunately for the charter school at that time, the white Republican, what do you call that job? House leader, Boehner, I think his name was able to stop Obama from doing that. But why do you guys fight against advancing yourself? Why do you fight against vouchers when all they could do is help you? I mean, it doesn't stop you from going to that same lousy public school if that's where you want to go, or you want your kids to go. But if you got the vouchers, you can pick. Would you rather have the Democrat Party continue to pick for you while they're saying that Trump is a tyrant and wants to be in control of everything? It's the Democrat Party that's in control of everything. Remember, even though Trump started that vaccine crap with Fauci thinking that he was going to help everybody, he never tried to make everybody take the shot. But Joe did. Joe tried to force it on all of us. Don't you remember? Now, many of y'all, loyal Democrats, took the shot. I never took it. And I wouldn't have took it if Trump was president. It didn't matter to me. And the reason why is because I think for myself. I knew that these people hadn't worked long enough to develop that thing. And then I come to find out that the shot was to supposedly protect us for this disease that started in a lab in China, funded by Fauci in the United States. And they were making Fauci this hero. Democrats are making Fauci the hero for saving us with this vaccine that may have killed a lot of people. So they made this guy the hero. Now that the evidence has come out that he was the creator of the problem in the first place, I don't see Democrats talking about it. I don't see them fessing up to it. No more than I see them fessing up to the fact that they had, when Hillary made that Russia lie about Trump and women and beds and golden showers and all this other nonsense. They made it up. And then they investigated Trump for 2 years, cost us $40 million, all based on a lie that Hillary created and her team, that the FBI knew about it, that the CIA knew about it, that Obama knew about it, and nobody's been held accountable for it. But Trump's a monster. Why don't you wonder, or let me rephrase it. Doesn't it make a difference to you that your leaders lie to you like a dog and then you continue to follow them? I mean, are you a child? Are you a grown person? Hopefully I'm speaking to a grown person, And, this idea that the Democrat Party is there to help you and help us. I need you to explain to me how. What? Particularly if you're a black person and you're a black Christian. How does any of the stuff that I'm talking about help us? Or maybe you can show me what they've done or are doing that is helping us. The only thing I can see is them getting you focused on hating Trump. And you can't see the misdirection. That little march that they had, what did it accomplish? This talk about DEI. You guys act like the civil rights laws haven't been passed. You act like there isn't any laws against discrimination. These people come out with a new slogan, some new mess, DEI, which should be DIE, because all it is helping you die. None of this crap has helped us. And statistically, DEI help white liberal women more than anybody, if it helps anybody at all. But you got the DEI, the CRT, all the crap. Black folks are still at the bottom, following the Democrat Party. You keep voting for the same folks, doing the same thing, giving you the same lies, well, different lies, same results. Keeping your kids in lousy schools, against police protecting you in these lousy neighborhoods, and wanting to bring in millions of people to stuff in your schools and your neighborhoods. And you guys are happy about it. They got, of all the ethnic groups in the United States, why are black folks the only ones that got to have these so-called civil rights leaders that ain't doing squat for us? Got a bunch of gatekeepers running around guiding you into whatever they want. They don't live in your community. I hear all kind of people come from other countries. They come to the United States and they succeed. But black folks is always trying to overcome. And I believe that the only reason why you're trying to overcome is because you haven't overcome the Democrat Party. They're going to have you overcome until they put dirt over you. Because their idea is for you to never overcome. Just to be dependent on them. Well, I'm finna get my rub. So I can get my ribs on. Like I said, I think that's the one thing we can agree on. Good food. So, if you're a Democrat and you come over to my house, I'm going to feed you. You're going to eat good. And I would expect the same if I went over your house. But let me know. Why are you still a Democrat?